We looked at this a couple years ago. We sat across the table from each other and said, we must be crazy to think we can fit another thing on our plates. With twin one-year-olds at the time and all the family commitments and full-time jobs and traveling. But we looked at it and said, if we don't do it now, when are we going to do it? We want something that our kids are going to be able to grow up with, that can hopefully be theirs someday. And when we were looking at what we could open and what kind of shop we could have, we said, you know what, the donut shop would be perfect. And if we could even create some of those memories for some of the local residents that I remember having as a kid, then we've accomplished what we set out to do. Chris and I met 10 years ago. We met at work. I was in marketing as a sales trainer and he was in sales, and I used to go into his branch office and train all the sales guys.
We would be at meetings together, got to meet each other, got to know each other. And from there we kind of stayed together and ended up dating, and about 2 years later we ended up getting married.
We had twin 3-year-old boys, and we were living in North Jersey, but our parents were both down here. So when we got married, we said, where do we want to raise this family? And it was going to be here. Point Pleasant Beach has always been known as the family fun place, the family town, and it's just always been something that we loved. Everything around here is making sure that the families are welcome. There used to be a donut shop in town years ago, and it was a staple in this area. And ever since it closed back in the early 2000s, there just seemed like there was something missing. When we were looking at what we could open and what kind of shop we could have, we said, you know what, the donut shop would be perfect.
We had talked a long time, Danielle and I, about opening a business that we can have the family grow around in Point Pleasant Beach.
Because we have young kids, we wanted to do something that the kids could be involved in and something that they could really enjoy. And from the minute we decided on the donut shop, I wanted to do private parties. I wanted to be able to have design your own donut parties for kids. I wanted people to have that donut making experience. You know, we could have opened a shop where everything was lined floor to ceiling with pre-made donuts in the morning, but we wanted something a little more unique, a little different.
Our whole concept is built upon a warm donut. And from there, the customer experience of them being able to watch their donut and their children be able to watch the donut, that's what brings people back.
We've pre-designed some donuts for you, or if you want to get really creative, you can make your own. We also try to name the donuts after things that we know from town and that the locals can relate to. So we have different options on the menu that they'll come in and they recognize and they remember maybe from someplace else they've been, or a local band, or something that has that connection, that personal connection for them. So Aunt Betty was a staple in the family. Some would call her the matriarch of the family. Everybody knew her as Aunt Betty. It didn't matter who you were, when you met her, that's how she was introduced, and that's all she went by. I don't even think people knew her full name was Elizabeth.
When we started talking about our business and our ideas, she was the first person that was more than happy to help us with anything. She jumped right on board.
She always wanted my husband and I to have something that was our own.
Unfortunately, she passed suddenly before we even opened the doors. But the most important thing that we thought to carry on Aunt Betty's name and her legacy here was to have a donut named after her.
There was one kind of ice cream that she always loved, and it was butter crunch ice cream. So we found the butter crunch, and we made a donut called the Aunt Betty with a caramel glaze and butter crunch topping.
A lot of people come in, and when you get the Aunt Betty, they always ask, is there really an Aunt Betty? And we always talk and tell a quick story about it. And then they see the picture of Aunt Betty that's hanging on the wall, and then they get to read a little bit about her.
She was such a special woman. Whether you knew her or not, you knew the story behind her, and we want to make sure that her memory lives on through our shop.
Without a support system surrounded around us that we have with family and friends that are so local, we probably would have a very, very hard time doing it. You really got to believe in what you want to do. What we center everything around is that warm donut. We believe people will come back for a warm donut, fresh made donut. And so far it's worked. And our repeat customer base is I can't even tell you how big it is. But you have to go and take that leap. I mean, if you have the support and you have an idea and you firmly believe that it could be something, I would encourage anybody to just take that leap of faith and do it.